got anything?
Did you know the candidate for one that was you?
It's 7 o'clock, y'all. Good evening, everyone. How are you all doing? Good. My name is Monica Wills Brown, and I'm the chief organizer and lead researcher for the Cobb County Democracy Center. We are a new entity, and what we're doing is trying to raise the awareness and well, I'm sure everybody here votes, right? You know, so but we're trying to raise civic literacy across Cobb County because our municipal numbers are horrible. We're really voting at 8%, and that's 8% of everybody. 8% of people who are registered to vote. So I know we've had candidate forums in the past, but I think it's critical that in an off-year election we keep this theme rolling because we have a heavy year next year. So a little bit about the Cobb County Democracy Center. We are nonpartisan. We're nonpartisan. We don't pick sides, but we do pick people. And we definitely want to ensure that we translate policy to the people. And so that's what we're about. Like I said, we're a new entity. And we wanted to come together with the residents of Kennesaw. We're also working, and we just recently had a candidates forum in Powder Spring, and next week is Austell, Smyrna, and hopefully Ackworth. We'll find out we'll find out later on tonight. But if not, it's okay. But like I said, what we're doing is just creating a footprint so that we can connect with our community because we're all we have in Cobb, right? So without further ado, we'd like to get started, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Monica. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Come on now, we could do just a little bit better. I say that because you should applaud yourself that you care enough about your city to want to hear what our beautiful candidates have to say. I'll just introduce myself. My name is Ron Green. I am a local pastor in the Cobb County area, and I'm heavily involved in the community. I am a chaplain for the Kennesaw Police Department, and I also chair an advisory board for the police department as well. I'm also a local business owner, and our church does a lot of things to serve our community. So I am here representing nonpartisan interest. Just want to make that known, but I'm excited to hear what these candidates have to say. So without further ado, we'll get started. November the 7th, the citizens of the city of Kennesaw will participate in the Kennesaw City General Election to elect the following seats. We've got Mayor, Council, Post 1, and Council, Post 2. The Mayor and City Council members are elected at large. Early voting begins on October 16th. The goal of this candidates forum is to present the viewpoints of the candidates for City Council for the city of Kennesaw in a fair, nonpartisan, and civil manner on issues confronting the citizens of the city of Kennesaw so that the city's citizens can make an informed decision. And if you all don't mind, as a pastor, if I could just open up this forum with prayer. Okay? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, God. We understand that you are a purposeful God and that you don't make mistakes. So God, we submit this forum to you. We submit our ideas to you, that we put you first in everything we do. And we just salute the citizens that are here and these candidates that are here that care about their community. Not only do they care, they want to create legacy and make it better, God. So we thank you for this time. We thank you for advancement and growth in the city of Kennesaw. And everything we do, we're always careful to give you praise. Amen. Amen. All right, so let's get started. We'll go over a few house rules for this forum. So we will address issues only. There will be no, obviously, abusive remarks or personal remarks allowed. The core will be maintained. And so for the candidates, we're going to be allowed, you all are going to be allowed 3 minutes to present an opening statement. We'll start there in a moment. And in your opening statements, be sure to include your strengths, your skills, unique qualifications that would make you a solid candidate. And then after that, once we get started into the forum, when we ask questions, we'll allow the candidates 1 minute to refute an opponent's answer to a question if you deem it relevant. At the close of the forum, each candidate will be allowed 1 minute for final remarks. And we'll be given a signal when your time has expired. The way we did it last time, if we can just maybe do 15 seconds. Once we're at 15 seconds, we can let them know so that they can start wrapping it up. And,
Okay.
and so at the end, we'll also allow questions from our community. So if you have questions, we're asking that you write those down on the index cards. If it's not written down, we're not going to present it. So make sure if you have a question, we'll write it down. We'll have 2 minutes for the candidates to answer those questions at the end. All right? All right, so let's start. We're going to start with the candidates with your opening statements. Anthony, we'll start with you and we'll just work our way down. 3 minutes. Give us your strengths and let us know why you're qualified to be a city council member in the city of Kennesaw.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Anthony Gutierrez. I am a candidate for Kennesaw City Council Post 2. And if you've ever heard me speak or if you've ever met me before, you know I'm all about the issues. I don't like to beat around the bush. If you ask me a question, I'm going to give you the complete and honest truth about it. I'm an issues-based campaign, but some of my biggest pieces of my platform are enacting term limits because I am not a supporter of career politicians, and I like the idea of fresh ideas entering our system every so often. I do not support the current way we are handling elections with the plurality, not majority rule, where the person who receives the most vote is the winner. Because as we saw last year, we saw a winner win with only 18% of the vote. I believe in instant runoff voting because not only does it prevent the spoiler effect, it prevents an expensive second election. I believe in energy independence, where we help our constituents invest in renewable energies to help reduce their utility bills. If you're like any American, you've probably seen that inflation is hitting all of us hard, and our utility bills are no different. I'm also one of the pioneers and main voice standing up against all the luxury apartments and gentrification that's destroying our affordability and our city. We are at a point where we cannot just keep adding more and more and more. We need to keep the tranquility and charm that we all treasure here before all of us can no longer afford to live here. If you believe in my platform, you can reach out to me at anthonyforkennesaw@gmail.com, or you can look at my website where I have a lot of what I believe in. Thank you for your time, and I hope that one day I can be representing you all.
All right, thank you, Anthony. All right, next, Tracy.
Tracy. I am Tracy Byers. I'm running for re-election for Kennesaw City Council Post 2. A little bit about my story. I first moved to the city in 1996, so I've been here for 27 years. I was first elected in 2018 to fill a seat that was vacated by a former council member, but I came into this in kind of a really naturally and what I feel organic sort of way. Some of the positions I served before I got here, I was on the Kennesaw Citizens Advisory Committee. I spent 6 years on the Kennesaw Downtown Development Authority, 3 years as the chair. I was a 5K director, and I volunteer at many 5Ks, even up to this past season. I was an events committee member, an active member of and liaison for the Kennesaw Downtown Merchants Association, which I still do a lot of volunteering for. I am the government affairs chair for the Kennesaw Business Association and have been for the last 4 years. There was a time when I ran the Kennesaw Farmers Market and the dinner at the depot to get things going on Monday nights, because if y'all have been down to Kennesaw on Monday nights, it's pretty quiet down there. I started and championed the first Kennesaw Beer and Wine Festival to showcase some of the makers' businesses that were coming in town. We had a new brewery, we had a new distillery, and I fought to keep that program going. I served as a liaison for the Smith Gilbert Gardens, and I served as a stakeholder on the city's Livable Centers initiative and Cherokee Purpose-Driven Design Standards when we were making those changes. I've been a parent, a neighbor, a single-family homeowner, a renter, a volunteer, a business owner, a committee member, a committee chair, and an elected official. Some of the accomplishments the city has made since I've been here, and I am not taking credit for all these because we do have a great staff that works really hard, but we are no longer, when I first came into this, we were on a TAN, which is where the city borrows money against taxes coming in. We are no longer in that position. We are in a great financial position with 12 months of reserves. We've started and completed multiple phases of Depot Park, and we'll finish the amphitheater this spring, and I served on that committee. We started, built, and expanded the inclusive playground at Swift Cantrell Park. We created the entertainment district, and we rebranded downtown to make it more viable. We've paved miles and miles of roads and added sidewalks and lighting to underserved neighborhoods, and we've welcomed new residents and businesses. I have long-standing relationships in the community. I have a long track record of involvement. I've been in the trenches with the citizens, the businesses, the city leadership, and the organizations for years to help keep Kennesaw moving forward, and I want to continue to do so. I believe we have great momentum. I hope I've earned your trust and your vote. Early voting starts on October 16th, actual election day is November 7th. Remember to vote buyers.
Thank you, Tracy. Madeline?
Hi, I'm Madeline Marchena. I'm running for Post 1. I'm born and raised here in Kennesaw, and I first got involved in the city. I started volunteering as the chair of the Arts and Culture Commission. My background's in the arts. I graduated from KSU back in 2012. I majored in dance, and I wanted to give back using my experience there with the arts. And so I didn't really foresee it going anywhere more than that, but I did choose to run last year. I chose to run after we had a special election, the council member resigning over the Wildman store reopening, and I did speak out against that reopening as well, and it did motivate me to run, and I ran a campaign in support of the arts and pedestrian safety and walkability of downtown and downtown development, and an inclusive community environment, and I came close. We had a really close election. Only 29 votes decided the winner, so we are trying to do everything we can to send our message out to as many people as we can to vote, and I hope to earn your vote as well. I think that I've been very engaged with the community since then. I've really been dedicated to not stopping working towards the things that I promised I would work on in my campaign last year. I posted community events. Tracy and I actually worked together on a project. We worked on the mural downtown on the Whistle Stop building with the theme of everyday people. So I've really been dedicated to not stopping my efforts and working to earn your trust too, and hopefully earn your vote, whether it be early voting coming right up on the 16th, I can't believe it so soon, or November 7th on election day. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Madeline. John?
Hello, everyone. My name is John Balders. I have been a resident here in the city of Kennesaw for more than 2 decades now. We first moved here, my wife and I moved here in 2003, and we are homeowners and paying taxpayers here in the city of Kennesaw, Georgia. We have 3 beautiful daughters, and 2 which still live with us. One that is married and now lives in Tennessee with her husband, so I also have a son-in-law. And that's interesting. And through the whole process of being here, we've seen several different things happen here in the city. Being in the city for over 2 decades, that when we first moved here, Swift Contrail Park was not a thing. Okay, it did not exist. It did not exist there. Legacy Park was finishing up. Their community and more homes were being built there. Several things, the recreation center was not there. There were several things in the city that did not exist, that exist now here. What I'm looking forward to doing on the council is to help the city to move forward. That we see a lot of things that are happening here in the city. Lots of apartments are being built without any idea what you're going to do with all the traffic and things like that. Our infrastructure, no one's thinking about the infrastructure of the city there. We have issues with, everyone knows, there's moral issues and issues that we have on our city council right now, and that we have a history of bad behavior in our city officials that we have here. We need to change that. We need to look at several different things, like we have bad traffic patterns in the city there, and we hear a whole lot about, hey, that's just cars coming through. We can't stop that. But building, right now I think we have about 2,000 apartments being built right now in the city that has been approved or will be approved in the city very, very soon there. That's going to bring more traffic and things like that to the city there. I've been pretty much involved in everything from coaching here in the city. I've coached softball, I coached basketball, I've coached football, I've coached soccer one year. I had no idea what I was doing in soccer, but I coached it. I'm a volunteer here at the high school, the only high school that's actually in the city, Kennesaw Mountain High School. Volunteer for everything over there. I volunteer for the band department, where I'm right now currently the vice president of fundraising for the band the band and the drama department over in the city. So we're involved in pretty much any and everything in the city. I'm currently, oh, okay, sorry, time is up there. But anyways there, I'm John Balders. You can find more information for me at johnforkennesaw.com there. If you have any questions at all, send me an email at johnforkennesaw@gmail.com there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. And what we'll do, we've got 4 questions for the candidates, and we'll just go down the line. I'll start with you this time first.
Okay.
And every question will proceed to the next person. Madeline, you'll get the second question. You'll start that, and then we'll just go down the line. So, John, I love the fact that you mentioned our infrastructure and a bad traffic plan. So this is a great question for you. Kennesaw is a thriving city. So we want to know, what would you plan to do to ensure that Kennesaw expands to meet its full potential? And so in answering, discuss the current strengths, weaknesses of what makes Kennesaw a city that would attract new residents. And as you mentioned in your introduction, you were concerned about the infrastructure and the traffic. So our question to you is, what do you plan to do about that?
Thank you for the question. Just to let you guys know, we did get 4 questions beforehand there, so I wrote down answers. Well, I generally, when I talk, I forget about what I want to say, so I wrote some of the answers down to that question there. And my response to the question is very simple there. Kennesaw right now is a striving, Kennesaw's striving status is a statement of our many strengths that we have here in the city, including a strong sense of community. We're lucky to have excellent schools. Kennesaw is not involved in that as the county, but we actually have excellent schools in the area, and a strategic location. A location meaning that we have a large university right up the street there, and we have access to 75. So we're in a perfect location for everything here in the city there. Some of the things that we need to do in order to make our city a little better there is economic development. And when I say economic development, we need to encourage responsible development in our city. Okay, right now we're not having responsible development in our city. We're just building. And our current councilmen are saying yes to everything. There's only 1 or 2 that ever ask questions when we go to these city council meetings. So economic development is one thing. Infrastructure. We need to invest in our infrastructure for the city there. Creating, we need to invest in transportation, public facilities, vital, well-maintained roads, and modern amenities would make Kennesaw a appealing place to live. We also need to diversify our housing, promote a range of housing options for people instead of just building all these apartments. It's cultural and community events, encouraging and supporting cultural and community events foster a vibrant community, and it draws new residents to visit us alike. We also need to support our local businesses. If we don't support our local business, America was built on small businesses. We were built on small business there, and what we need to do is support our small business in our community there. And that will get to another question there, but supporting our small businesses, building a stronger infrastructure, better roads, fixing the roads that we have now, and try to do something about the traffic that we have here in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Madeline, you can answer that question. If you'd like me to repeat it, I can.
Sure. Well, you can go ahead and repeat it.
Okay, so the question there is, what would you plan to do to ensure Kennesaw expands to meet its full potential? And in that answer, you're addressing strengths that we have and also weaknesses
Yes, thank you.
to attract new residents.
Yes. Well, I think that we are definitely attracting new residents. I see that very clearly. We have lots of people looking to live here, looking to buy here, and I think that, like John mentioned, shows that we are doing some things right. It's a really beautiful place to live. I grew up my whole life here. I think we have great schools as well. Everybody talks about the charm and environment we have. One of the reasons why we moved downtown right on Main Street is to walk everywhere. So expanding on that, creating a more walkable environment downtown. I think these are a lot of our strengths. Definitely our location, definitely our schools. I do see investing in infrastructure as a big thing that we have to tackle in the future. But I would also add that I think that one thing that's been holding us back for as long as I can, as long as I've been alive, is that we have had a negative reputation, and it is something that we have to work extra hard to show that our values are what they say they are. And I spoke out against the store downtown. I think that it's really been an unfortunate stain on our community, and I think that it really does really stand as an implicit threat to violence for a lot of people. This is something that I've really been motivated by to create a more inclusive, welcoming community, and I think that that will just attract more people. We can celebrate the diversity that we have, like we say in our vision statement on the right when you walk into City Hall, and I think we can only expand on that. So I think there's a lot of work to be done, but I'm dedicated and ready to do the work necessary.
Thank you, Madeline.
Thank you.
All right, Tracy, do you need me to repeat the question?
I think I've got it.
Okay.
I mean, it is what have you done and what do you plan to do?
Exactly.
So I agree with these guys. By my estimation, Kennesaw has no problem attracting new residents. In fact, most of our luxury apartments are at 97% full. You can't even get in if you want. KSU helps with that, much to some people's chagrin, and it's not the popular answer, but we do need more student housing. We've got situations where Cobb County will only allow 3 non-related people to live in a house, and we've got students trying to do that, and then they get in a neighborhood, and it upsets the neighborhood, and there's traffic, and there's cars in the streets and whatnot. So though it's the unpopular answer, we do need more student housing. If y'all will go with me for a minute, Kennesaw has some really unique dynamics. Because having such amazing access to 41 and 75 is a curse and a blessing. And our legacy, our literal history, we were a stop on the train line. We're a shanty town. We don't have the retail infrastructure from the early 1900s that, let's say, Woodstock and Ackworth have. So it's very difficult to come here. We can't, as a new business, new restaurant, let's say, you can't just go rent a 1,500 square foot space that already exists. You've got to fight with the HBC to tear something down, then buy a property, which was at $1.5 million an acre in downtown last time I checked, and then rebuild something else, which is $225 a square foot at current prices, to open a business. So there is a barrier to open businesses in downtown to some extent. We also lack the 2 miles of Main Street that Ackworth and Woodstock have, with businesses on both sides. We turn off at Cherokee, right after Cherokee on the Moon Station, and it's over. The business stops. So I've always been very big on, and even though I may sound like a party planner when I'm sitting up on the Diaz, because I always announce what events we have, and I've really worked hard with the Kennesaw Downtown Merchants to bring people downtown. The farmers market, the beer fest, the entertainment zone, advocating for local businesses. But I'm always bringing up that we have the First Friday concerts, the candy crawl, because I'm trying to make things happen in a city that doesn't have the retail and the things to do. So there's ways that we have to try to make up for that. I work in commercial real estate, as many of you know, and I am personally and professionally invested in bringing business to Kennesaw. I always represent it as the amazing place it is, and some of the businesses that I've helped with are Horndale Brewery, Vesuvio Pizza, Lazy Guy Distillery got a new warehouse space, AJ Upholstery, which has been here for 30 years. I helped them relocate when the building they were in was closing. Platinum Garage Doors. Kennesaw is thriving, and I'm at Lazy Guy every weekend, and I'm telling y'all there's people from Canton, Woodstock, Ackworth, Marietta, Powder Springs, and around the state who talk about what a great city we have. So it's not all negative. I am personally, I call myself the resident pedestrian. Many of you know I've not missed a power walk in like 4,200 and crazy amount of days. And I normally walk on Moon Station and Main Street. And I'm here to tell you, we have problems. But it's not just Kennesaw. So I've been very passionate about lighted crosswalks. I fought for those. Pat helped me fight for those. Potentially other traffic calming measures. We just finished a study. I think it's going to prove that people speed. I tell everybody how great Kennesaw is, and I help people make connections, and I want to keep doing that. As far as The infrastructure and the building, it seems like we're building a lot of apartments, but if you ever look at the statistics, we have way more single-family homes than we have apartments. And when you're looking at property that's 1.5 million per acre, I can tell you, I intimately know building vertically is all you can do. 2 + 2 never makes 5. And when it comes to affordable housing, if you ask a developer, he says, well, you know, if your government would let up on all the charges, you know, impact fees and things, and let up on the parking restrictions, and let up on the density, we could build affordable housing. So just some thoughts.
Thank you, Tracy. Shannon. Anthony?
When you run for office and you're asked these questions, it's very easy to tell people what they want to hear. Yes, Kennesaw is thriving. Yes, we're doing great. But that's just the surface level. It takes courage to dig deep and start asking, what does thriving mean? Right now in Kennesaw, the average rent for a 1-bedroom apartment is $1,948 a month. The average national is just over $1,300. We are paying $600 above the national average at this moment. And if we continue to allow these luxury corporate complexes to come in, starting at $2,000 a unit, in a couple years, that $2,000 unit is now a $3,000 unit. There needs to be foresight in our planning and our votes. That's one of my advantages as a young person running for office, because I know that these votes that are happening right now are still going to be affecting me and people my age 50, 60 years from now. Our city council likes to say they have foresight. They always complain that there's a lot of traffic and dangerous driving on Cherokee Street. So what do? They add an 800 apartment unit complex on McCollum and Cherokee Street. I don't know if you've driven down that road. It's a 1-lane road. You want to add 1,000 cars on a 1-lane road and then complain that we need to do something about Cherokee? You can't have it all. Tough decisions need to be made. And there's an easy choice. Yes, we can invest in new residents. What about our current residents? What about the people that are here right now, who were born here, who've lived here their entire lives, who are raising families here, who retired here? I want to focus on those people. Yeah, you can build these nice apartments and you can build vertically, but the only people that are moving in are the ones that can afford the $2,000 rents. Say that to the single mother here in Kennesaw who has to decide between filling her car with gas so she can make it to work tomorrow, or to feed her child. Say that to the blue-collar worker who has to pick up a second job just to afford his mortgage and his increased property taxes. Say that to the retirees who only survive on their Social Security, who are rationing their medication because they cannot afford to live here anymore. I support Kennesaw and its residents, not a future idea, not this complete disregard of the people who put us here. That's who I stand behind. Not corporate entities, not landlords, Kennesaw. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, so we'll go to our next question. Madeline, we'll start with you, and then we'll go this way. Since COVID, many businesses have suffered. How have you, or what do you plan to do to support struggling businesses that are still rebounding from either the pandemic or inflation that has impacted business operations?
Yes. All right. So I think that. Sorry. I'm trying to fix a little water, but it didn't. Okay. One thing that I know we talked about in another, I think at a council meeting, but the city did do a survey a few years ago, if I'm not mistaken, and talked to some business owners about what can we do to help. We do hear from people saying that it is a struggle, especially in the downtown area. And one of the solutions was density. We do need some level of density to support the local businesses. If we want to have a little small town center, you do have to have some density around it to support the local business. So we've done a lot of that. Some people have been excited and not excited, but it it does serve a purpose, and now that we have a lot of that density, we can maybe try to focus a little bit more on businesses, retail, entertainment, a variety of services downtown. But also, if we are going to add more housing, which the affordability issue does come down to at least partially to demand, and you do have to be willing to build housing for people who need it. And I would like to see more ownership options. I know that apartments, some people like to live in apartments, that's totally fine, nothing against apartments. But a lot of people just simply can't afford a home to buy, and that's because we're not building them. And so I would like to see more home ownership in our community. And I also want to plug the arts, because the arts does amazing things for local business. We already see that with the festivals and the events that we already heard about, the concerts and all the things that we're already doing downtown. But a thriving arts district is only good for business. And one study from the Americans for the Arts actually said that over $32 is spent per person, per event, every time outside of the venue in other businesses when someone comes to an art event. That's any art event, a concert, a gallery opening, an unveiling, those kinds of things, a show. We can really do a lot of great things with the arts and stimulating the economy, especially local businesses and our downtown entertainment district. Get some entertainment thriving in the entertainment district. That's one great way that I fully support our local businesses.
Thank you, Madeline. Tracy?
So again, is this one of those questions where it's, what have you done, what will you do, right?
Well, you could answer both, or
Okay.
if you have any.
Specifically during the pandemic, I was on the board of the Kennesaw Business Association. As you can imagine, lots of businesses were worried about how they were gonna make it through. At the time, we were meeting at KSU. We had moved to the gun club, but everybody was kind of locking up venues and, the amount of people you could have and the time you could have it. So it was right at the same time the rec center was getting finished. So I was very happy to foster that relationship so that KBA could meet at the rec center. The rec center certainly needed the exposure and the revenue, and we were able to do that, kind of keep business alive. During the pandemic, and even today, as recently as last week, I sat with a business owner who's having a bit of a struggle. I had people call me. They don't call me on my city phone. They call me on my personal phone. And we talked and we laughed and we cried. How are we going to get through this? Because nobody had ever navigated a pandemic before, and we didn't know how. I sat with lots of people and had lots of people cry on their shoulders. And we all got through it. I mean, business is thriving in Kennesaw. We are welcoming new businesses all the time. We didn't have a mass exodus of business. We're alive and well. And like I said, business owners still seek me out. I live downtown. I live in one of the luxury apartments. I'm on the street all the time. Most of my jobs I can walk to, except for real estate showings. I'm on the street. People come and get me. I hear about your garbage and your garbage service and everything else while I'm eating dinner. And I'm happy to do that. And so I've advocated for businesses when the city's doing something that I don't feel comfortable with. That's not a good idea for the businesses. We need to think about the businesses. I've advocated many times, and they often call me. Though I'm no longer the liaison, I was really happy to support the Kennesaw Downtown Development Authority. Just did some partial grants for businesses in the Central Business District to allow them to improve their business. Ways like they could buy equipment or new signage. Vesuvio Pizza added an awning so they could have more seating during inclement weather. So I'm really happy to support programs like that, and I'll continue to support programs like that. I'm a friend of the business, I'm a friend of the citizens. I want downtown to work, I want the whole city to work.
Thank you, Tracy. Anthony?
When you look at the landscape of business and you compare it to 10 years ago, or even the 3 to 4 years ago when the pandemic started, it is a completely different reality. Gone are the days of driving into the city, going to the 18th floor and opening up your suite to your office. Now, the office is the spare bedroom. The office is the living room couch when you pop open your laptop. Sometimes the office is just your phone. We need a structure we need an infrastructure here in Kennesaw that understands that. I don't know if you've ever driven down Barrett Parkway or a lot of parts of Chastain, but it's a complete dead zone for cellular service. In 2023, in a city with a major university, fiber optic internet has been the newest revelation in internet speeds, 10 times faster than traditional cable. Yet our residents here in Kennesaw, 40% of them have zero option for this. And the other 60% only have one option. When it comes to business in our modern world, everything is digital now. It's text messages, it's phone calls, it's emails, it's Zoom meetings. Missing a phone call because you're in a dead zone, or a Zoom call dropping because your internet gave out, is the difference between whether or not you're making that sale. It's whether or not you're going to be able to afford rent that month. I want to invest in fiber optic internet and invest in 5G in our city because we need to catch up. We are so far behind already, and no one in our local government is having these conversations, and before we know it, it's going to be at a point where we can't catch up. While we're still trying to install fiber optic, there's going to be some new revelation, and people are going to be way farther ahead than any of us can ever dream about. It's not a pie-in-the-sky idea. Our neighbors in Marietta, there's already a huge Google Fiber campaign and a huge AT&T campaign. They are expanding it at a level that we aren't even talking about here. When you want to invest in business, you have to invest in modern business. You need a perspective and understanding of how things work now and not 20 years ago. It's not just tax cuts, and it's not just, I want good things to happen. It's understanding what we're lacking in and investing in that. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
Supporting struggling business is crucial to our community and our economic recovery. One thing that we can do is have financial relief there, advocate for grants for these for our business and low interest loans to help business bridge the financial gap caused by pandemics and the inflation. Reduce regulations and burdens here in the city. I hear from a lot of businesses that start here in the city that went through the whole process that they had the hardest time getting a business started here because there's all sorts of regulations that they needed to go through in order to start up a business here. So let's get rid of some of those regulations there, the red tape that are keeping businesses from the city of Kennesaw. We need to, as a city, to promote our businesses here in the city. I don't know, have a business of the week or a business, Kennesaw business of the week promotion where we support our local businesses. Get the government involved. Those are sort of things like that. Flexible zoning is one of those things there. Flexible zoning where we can have, make it easy to change the zoning here in the city where certain businesses can come in into the city there. So make it easier for the businesses in order to come here. Partnerships. Anthony spoke about high-speed internet, support infrastructure upgrades to benefit business, such as transportation and high-speed internet access, and enhance the ability to operate efficiently with internet and stuff like that. Several different things that we can do here in the city to support our businesses in the city there. Once again, regulations, cut those regulations there, make it more easy for a business to come here. The high-speed internet, like he said before, we're far behind on the high-speed internet there, but those sort of things are the things that we need to do in order to support our local businesses here in the Kennesaw and to bring more businesses here to Kennesaw.
Thank you, John. So Tracy, we'll start this question with you. You ready?
Yep.
And, so what has been your plan to ensure that all residents are knowledgeable about the decision-making process in Kennesaw?
So personally, I feel we do a pretty good job of this, and I know when you're trying to make the public aware, you've got to be aware of different people and where they get information at different levels. offense to anybody that's older, but sometimes older people have a harder time with technology. We've got a newsletter, it's online, we've got an app, we've got a comprehensive website, and I think we even print messages on the water bills. I live in an apartment, so I don't get a water bill anymore except for from my complex, but there's 2 opportunities at every city council meeting to speak. I don't remember ever seeing anybody being treated rudely or not allowed their time. Sometimes it's too much time. But they can talk about items on the agenda or anything they desire if they wait until the second time the mayor calls for it. I am proud to say, if you go to see other cities' meetings online, we are one of the only cities that continue posting our meetings on Facebook Live after the pandemic. Most of them have stopped. So our citizens get access for meetings from the comfort of their own home, if they want. We've got a city council email for questions and comments, and they're read aloud at council meetings if they come in before 6 o'clock. The check register, the annual comprehensive financial statement, the 5-year tax digest, and the budget are all online. So anybody who wants to can go study those things, research them. We have budget hearings that we schedule in the morning and the evening, so if your family situation or work situation doesn't work with one meeting, you can still come to another and talk about the budget. I think we respond well to open records requests. When I've had to have them done and had other people, they've always been complimentary. We've had community meetings for input. I don't know, a couple years ago, the Town Center CID was trying to figure out a way to have bicycle and pedestrian traffic cross 41, so they had everybody come, look at different plans, kind of vote for what they want. We've done that with other things. We don't do town hall meetings, and I think that's something we could maybe do quarterly, that we could touch people and really give the public a chance to come talk and be more accessible. I mean, I think that's one area of improvement that I can see that we could possibly do.
Thank you, Tracy. Before I go to you, Anthony, if you have your questions and you want us to review them so that we can read them in just the next 5 minutes, because we have those if you're writing those out for us. Yes, ma'am.
Why can't we read out all the questions?
I think, yeah, we're just, because I'm here to moderate.
Well, nobody's gonna be able to read what I wrote, so.
That means you have handwriting like mine then.
But I just think it's a lot more fair when those people can read their own questions.
Well, maybe I appreciate your feedback, and maybe we can consider that for the next event. Thank you. Anthony?
For those listening at home, can you repeat the question one more
Yes, the
time?
question is, what would you do to ensure that our residents are knowledgeable about the decision-making process in Kennesaw?
So right now here in Kennesaw, our city council meets weekly, every Monday at 6:30 at City Hall. However, only half of those meetings are general, regular meetings where citizens are allowed to get up there and voice their opinions. The other half are what are known as work sessions. A lot of people, because they don't think, or because they see that citizens aren't allowed to talk during the work sessions, believe that those aren't as important as the regular meetings. And because of that, there's less turnout, less viewership whenever those videos are posted. When you're only meeting once a week for 30 to 45 minutes, I don't think it's too much to ask that you stay an additional 15 and allow residents and voters an opportunity to speak before the council. Whenever these sessions happen, they're some of the most important ones, because that's where the finer details are discussed, and then the following open meeting are just the yes or no votes on whether it passes or not. And a lot of people don't understand that. They disregard the work sessions, and because of that, there's a lot of information that they either don't realize was said, or it's just kind of hidden underneath the consent agenda. I believe in transparency. I don't believe that the work session is censorship or trying to keep information from people, but you've got to understand how a normal person thinks. If they can't speak, well then it's probably not really worth going to. I'll just wait for the one where I actually can voice my opinion. If we have more opportunity for citizens to be involved in the decision-making process and to voice their opinion, and it's a win-win no matter what. It's easy to ignore a phone call and email. It's hard when the concerned citizen is 5 feet away from you. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
How do we go about letting our community know what's going on in the city? Okay. As Tracy said, there's several things on the internet. You can go to the City of Kennesaw website and you can find several things there. All the all the meetings are posted on Facebook Live, so you can go there and find stuff like that. But to get into the really, to get into really what the people want to know, a lot of things are posted in the Marietta Daily Journal. Some of these things are posted in the Marietta Daily Journal. Well, all the things are posted in the Marietta Daily Journal on a Friday paper, the one day that no one reads the Marietta Daily Journal. What we need to do, once again, we need to come to the time that we are now. There's not many people that actually read the Marietta Daily Journal. All this stuff needs to be posted, such as things that are gonna be coming up in social media, because a lot of people go to social media, on the website, and several other things, and other accesses that we have. If we need to have more town hall, we need to have town hall meetings, at least quarterly, for people to come in and know that, hey, this quarter, I know that we're gonna have a meeting, so I can come and ask the city council questions and stuff like that. I think we need to move from the Marietta Daily Journal. If we do post it in the Marietta Daily Journal, we need to post other things like our Facebook page and any other page, social media page that the city may have, and on the website there. But there's a lot of things that people don't know about in the city, and I talk with people all the time in the city and say, I didn't even know that was happening. Well, it's been in the newspaper. It's been in the newspaper on Friday night for 3 weeks in a row. Well, I don't read the newspaper. How else? Well, it's on the website. It happened inside that meeting. Go back and look at the video. Okay, who's gonna go back and look at the video? Okay, so we need to find better ways of doing that. Social media is what everybody's using now. Everything needs to be posted on social media. That's posted in the Marietta Daily Journal.
Thank you, John. Last but not least, madam.
Yes, I think that, to say the least, we could be doing a whole lot better with this one. I think that, like, maybe the efforts are there, but there's a lot of room for improvement in my opinion. Like we heard before, 8% is not acceptable, I think. I think that we need to increase voter turnout by increasing voter awareness and engagement. And I think that we can do that by first working to get the message out more when there is an opportunity to vote. We could have more public service announcements on signage, things of that nature. People really don't know that there's elections coming up unless it's federal. So when it comes down to these off years, it's a struggle to get people to have the awareness that they want to be engaged, but they just don't know how. I think that we have a portal, or we have a dashboard, but I think we need to really focus on a more user-friendly and accessible, digestible dashboard. It's frequently not up to date, and it's a little quirky sometimes. I think that one thing that really makes a big difference is when voters feel like they are responded to at city council meetings when they come in for a comment. Most people, when they come in for a comment, they're finding out where to go, where's council chambers, everything like that. They make time out of their day to come voice their concern, and most of the time there's no response at all. And I think it's really frustrating to people to come and do that and be met with maybe not even the mayor or council people responding or having a minute to respond or looking at you. So I think that we need to also inspire people. It's a positive feedback loop when people want to engage. They talk about engaging. They talk to their friends, and then more people will get to vote and will get to learn about their candidates and make informed decisions and be involved, so that we can continue to have the ability to elect officials that really represent the people. So, I think town halls are a great idea. I think allowing, public comments at work sessions makes sense, because that's when the discussion is happening. So I think involving the citizens in that is something that I would also support. And inspiring people to get involved by, if you don't hear people talking about the things that matter to you, and you're sitting at home wishing that there was a better candidate, then be that candidate and get involved that way. That I think is one of the most engaging, most inspiring ways I feel called to be in the community and invested in the community. And so that's what I want to hopefully emanate and inspire as well.
Thank you. And are you comfortable with the transparency of our local Kennesaw civic leadership now?
I think that it could be greatly improved by, I think that people don't know what they don't know, and we have to be forthcoming and extra, we really have to present what the issues are in a way that people are able to receive them.
Okay, thank you, thank you. One last question, we'll start with Anthony and go this way. And I think we'll probably get one of the questions that's answered from the questions that have come in. But if you received a $1 million grant to use for the city any way you wanted, what would you do and why? What would you do with it and why?
So like I mentioned previously, a major part of my platform is energy independence. I know some of you all are like me, and when you open up that Georgia Power bill, it's always a lot bigger than you think it's going to. And there's a reason for that. They voted to increase our rates by 12% over the course of the next couple years. They're adding a fee of $3 to $4 to fund a project to create 2 more nuclear reactors. Georgia Power is a monopoly. They have every say, and we can't do anything about it. We pay all of their bills, they reap all of the benefit, and at the end of the month, our reward is a higher bill. Like 2010 and cutting the cable from network television, it's time we cut the power line and focus on energy independence. Today, it is cheaper than it's ever been to invest in solar power. According to Forbes, a household with solar energy will save on average $1,500 a year on their electric bill. And solar panels are expensive, it's an investment. They tend to pay for themselves within 5 to 10 years. But after that an initial investment is paid, that extra $1,500 in your pocket, it's very nice. For a lot of people, that's a free mortgage payment at the end of the year. When it comes to solar panels and when it comes to renewable energy, a lot of people are afraid to do it because it is expensive. Fortunately, there is a program by our federal government that they will give you a 30% tax credit on your investment. Imagine going to a restaurant, you get 30% off. That's a good deal. You get 30% off of solar panels. That's a more phenomenal deal. I believe our city should follow that rule. We should also have a tax incentive. That's what I believe in, and that's what I'm running on. Now I know I kind of avoided the question because it's a hypothetical, but that's the real world. That's what's really happening. But to answer the hypothetical, if I had $1 million, I'd give everyone solar panels and save them $1,500 a year. Thank you.
So you're saying you're subsidizing the cost of it, or
Tax credits.
Tax in the form of tax credits?
Correct.
Thank you. John?
So following Anthony is usually very hard because he usually says what I'm about to say. One of the things that one thing that he talked about.
When you mentioned infrastructure, maybe you could enlighten us on your $1 million maybe going toward that.
I would not put the $1 million
No.
towards the infrastructure. Thank you. I believe, like Anthony believes, that solar power is the way to go for our city to reduce a lot of bills and that sort of thing like that. Fortunately, I don't have Georgia Power. I have called EMC. which is a little better than Georgia Power there, but I do believe that solar power energy is the way to go. So I would spend some of that money on solar power energy and satellites in order to make the city a little much better there, particularly on our business, on our government buildings that we have here. Maybe a solar powered car for the police department and things like that. I also believe in using it on affordable housing. And when I say affordable housing, Habitat for Humanity. I would invest some of that money for Habitat for Humanity and get some people some homes, teachers and police officers, and some of our service, our people that work really, really hard that can't afford these homes in Kennesaw anymore. The average price for a home now in Kennesaw is at $350,000. That's your starting price for a new home in Kennesaw. That's the average price, okay? Truthfully, they're a lot higher than that. So, I would donate a large portion of that money to Habitat for Humanity to buy the land and buy the supplies to help some families build some homes here. I would also, I love our park and recreation center that we have here. I would invest some of that money in the park and recreation centers that we have here to get other things like more parks for the city. One portion of the city has a lot of parks in it. Another section of the city doesn't have any parks at all. So portions of that money I would help to invest in some more parks and recreation for the city there. And that's pretty much what I would do with the money there. As far as infrastructure and your question about that, that's something that we have to tackle as a city council there. We have to look into that and do what's best for the city. And when I say let's do what's best for the city, once again, it goes back to building 800 apartments on Cherokee Street. It goes without planning for any type of traffic or anything like that. It goes back to everywhere you look in this city, there's a new project that's being built in the city there. So we as city council, we need to take our top tax dollars and put it towards our infrastructure there, making sure that we have the right high-speed internet, making sure that our roads are fixed. We drive through here, and the city does a good job at finding the problems with the roads there, but more and more traffic creates more problems with our roads there, so we need to work on that.
So no tax dollars because the current problem is, as you mentioned, housing, overcrowding. So no current tax dollars towards the current infrastructure problem that we have now. You're saying this? I just want to make sure I understand.
I'm saying that the city, that we need as a city to spend more money on infrastructure because with all these buildings that are being built and all the people that are soon will be moving into the city there, that's going to bring more traffic, which means more problems on our roads.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so let's give these candidates a hand for answering the questions. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I misspoke.
That's okay, I love the welcome.
No, we're not. Listen.
No,
No, I apologize. We're not done. Madeline,
Okay.
$1 million. You got a $1 million check.
That's what I win
City of
for being
Kennesaw.
the last one.
What do you do with it?
Oh, you are the last one.
Yeah.
So.
Any way you want to use it for City of Kennesaw.
Awesome. Well, I think that a lot of the things that have been said, infrastructure is a big one. I would definitely earmark some of that money for, as it's needed. We are constantly maintaining, updating infrastructure, but investing in more sustainable infrastructure, I think, is the clear future way to go. Also, I know that we are in a pretty good financial situation as it is now, so you already know me, I'm an arts gal. You gotta save a little bit of it for the arts. One thing that people don't recognize as being the arts is, one example is something that we proposed when I was on the Arts and Culture Commission, which is actually a playground, a natural aesthetic playground. It's beautiful to look at. They have one in Woodstock. It draws people from everywhere. People flock. And we just lost our playground in downtown. Maybe some of you couldn't care less. Maybe some of you are heartbroken like my 4-year-old was. But a playground down in the heart of our downtown entertainment district, right next to the amphitheater, would, I think, attract a lot of people to our events and our downtown businesses. And I think that that's one creative way that artistic touch can be put on something that is fun.
Thank you very much. Last but not least, Tracy.
If $1 million dropped in my lap, I'm always talking about pedestrian safety, traffic calming. I would add tree line medians on Main Street, and as they say, put Main Street on a diet. There are some road projects coming up that are going to relieve things to some extent. There are some improvements coming to Cherokee Street. Of course, you all know the story about the Sposs bypass bridge, which will eventually take traffic off Main Street and close up the Cherokee Street over the train tracks where we have a lot of problems. Those are all things that are coming, but there's a lot of things I think we could do, to help our traffic situation in the meantime. Pedestrian safety is huge to me. Call me selfish, but I'm on the street all the time. I think that it helps the businesses downtown when people feel safe and secure, and it scares me to death when I see parents down there not holding kids' hands. Little things like planters and art and place-making things would make downtown also slow down the traffic and make people feel more welcome. I'm always about paving roads, adding lighting, adding sidewalks, adding bike paths, anything we can do that the totality of people around here could enjoy and use. Improvement in intersection. We have some of the worst intersections in the city that I've ever traveled. I push for the flashing light with the no left turn signal at Big Shanty and Cherokee. I understand people still aren't abiding by that, but it's amazing what some blue lights will do. And I would continue to boost the investment in our parks and our programs and our facilities and our recreation. Again, I would reach for things that the most number of residents can enjoy. I think we do a great job, but I think we had $1 million, we could do so much more.
Awesome. Thank you, and I apologize to
You're
you,
good.
ladies. Let's give these candidates a hand. And the remainder of our time, we do have some questions. A couple of them were actual comments, so I'm not going to read those, but we do have some questions. If you still have a question or two, we may have time for it because I think the candidates, we kind of led them into answering some of the questions that you've already phrased. But this one here I think is interesting, and I want to read it, and we'll start back with you, John, answering the question. It says, given that 18 to 25% of the cost of a home is a direct cost of government fees, are you willing to reduce or suspend the government fees for home building? I.e., $250,000 home could be $200,000 if the government fees were reduced. So the question here is, are we willing to reduce or suspend government fees for home builders?
Let me ask this question then. What fees are you talking about?
Read the second part of the question.
Okay,
Can you name any of the fees that are involved? That's what it says. So if you can't name the fees, you can't answer the question. That's kind of a sad spot. You want affordable housing, and what you got is you're going to talk about it, but you don't know how the system works.
Okay.
You've got impact fees, you've got permit fees, you've got demolition fees, you've got dirt moving fees, you've got tap fees, you've got water fees, you've got meter fees. These are all government fees that you don't know anything about.
Thank you for the question there. To answer your question, yes, I know a lot about it. Once again, I'm a real estate broker, and I've been around been a real estate broker for 21 years now. As far as fees are concerned, government fees are concerned, am I willing to drop those government fees on building of houses? The city of, well, that's one of the things that that is actually primarily handled at the county level. Now, there are some city fees that we have here, and am I willing to drop those fees? The answer to the question is, the truth is, I really don't know. I would have to look into those fees and see how they affect the city and that sort of thing. And those fees, most of the time, the houses are, the homes that are being built and the developers that are being built, the fees are the least of the problems. The products that are for sale in order to build these things are what causes the fees to go up in this type of situation there. And so, that would be something that we would have to look into. to answer that question for you.
Does anyone, we'll do this, does anyone want to answer that question? That has knowledge of the fees, the government fees, and
I mean, I would be willing to tighten up the fees on the city level, but we'd have to look at an overall picture of the budget. Whatever money we're losing from that category has to come from somewhere else. But, I mean, he is right in that land has a cost. Materials and supplies have a cost. They've increased dramatically since 2020. It just, affordable housing is a very tough, complex issue and a very tough, complex topic.
So once again, it's one of those things, where, land, you used to be able to buy an acre of land here in this city 20 years ago for $300,000. That's not the case anymore. Supplies used to be much cheaper than they used to cost. So when you're looking at government fees, that's the least of the problems that you have to worry about as far as building a home here. These things there. Now, like I said before, I'm interested in looking at the fees and see where we could save money at on these fees. But truthfully, I would look at other things.
thank you.
One thing I would like to add to that, in this hypothetical situation, let's say we cut out $10,000 worth of fees. We're under the assumption that that means the final sell price of that house is gonna be $10,000 less, when that's not always the case. At the end of the day, they can put the price tag at what they seem fit. So if we are gonna be reducing taxes, we need to make sure that there's a rule in that contract that makes sure that those savings are passed on to the buyers.
Okay, Madam?
I would just add that although I would also have to look at where those fees are going and what they're currently paying for, I do see that some of them seem high, but more frustrating to people I know is that we could take a look at our procedures so that people aren't necessarily having to pull permit fees again and again and again for the same job, and people having to come back out again for very minor tweaky things, and then all of a sudden it doesn't seem like much, but you didn't get what you needed done and you have to spend another $300 for another permit, even though the window was off or something.
But sometimes they pay again because they've not done the job in the time period they were supposed to do it in.
Exactly.
That's to keep things moving as well. I mean,
Sure.
I know what you're
But
saying.
even
It doesn't
coming
always
out
work
and there's things that are sometimes not clear in something that could be done right there. I've changed, I can't look at it until this, I've done this, I have to come back
Fire
again.
marshals.
Yeah, the fees and those for such things as permits are needed, because, I'm sorry, I don't wanna, be on the back of a deck that falls down because somebody didn't do what they were supposed to do, okay? So in order for those permit fees, that we're talking about, or any other type of fees that we're talking about there, it's a lot of times it's done for safety reasons there. We see people out building stuff all the time, that are not safe and not built correctly and things like that. So, I don't know what building fees and everything that we're talking about there. Once again, look into those fees. It's the only thing that I can say that we can do is look in and see, is there a way that we can lower the fees and that sort of thing there. But once again, if we lower the fees for some of these things, then what is to keep the builder from still not charging $250,000 for the home when that sort of thing? What keeps the builder from not telling the builder what not to charge for something that they own? Okay,
So we have time for one more question.
And also, say, if there are any comments or questions that you have, we do have a reception so that you can talk one-on-one with the candidates, and I think that would be a really nice time to get to know on a one-on-one basis as well.
Specifically some of the questions that are directed to certain candidates, and trying to kind of keep it generalized. But this question, I'm going to generalize it because we mentioned affordable housing and we've mentioned luxury housing in this conversation today. So I'd be interested to know from your candidates, 1 minute or so, what's your stance, what's your belief on should we have more affordable housing? If so, how we're going to pay for it, or should we continue to pursue just maybe more luxury housing than affordable housing? We'll start with you, Anthony.
When it comes to this topic, I think it's okay just to say we need to slow down. Everyone likes to build new, shiny things, but sometimes it's okay to take a break, take a step back, see how all these new developments are going to be taking effect in a couple years. And then when we're in that time frame, take a look at it, and then continue on from there. If you build and build and build and build, and then everything crashes in 5 years, well, now you just wasted all that time, effort, and money. Or if you keep building and building and building, and suddenly no one can afford to live here anymore, same situation. It's okay to take things slow. We don't have to keep going at this pace. If you've ever seen a child running and they just keep picking up speed and picking up speed and picking up speed, what's going through your head? Oh no, they're gonna fall.
Good. Thank you, Tracy.
So, as a resident of Revival on Main, I pay $1,700 a month for my one bedroom. I don't mind being transparent about that. I'm a single female. I don't have time, desire, or money to mow a lawn, replace a roof, replace an HVAC. So I live there out of convenience and enjoyment of my own life. I chose to live downtown because I am not one of the cars on the road. I literally can walk to all my jobs except for when I do real estate showings. Easily in my building, 30% of the residents are women, widows that are 70 plus. They live there because, again, it's half the price of adult living, and there's elevators and the fire station's nearby, and they can walk to church and they can walk to different things. I understand the real estate market intimately because I work in it all the time. It's a ecosystem that's about supply and demand that's so much bigger than we are. I mean, not bigger than city council, bigger than county, bigger than state, bigger than everything. But I also understand, and this is specifically true in Kennesaw more than anywhere I've ever seen. We have like third generation citizens here who own land and they have the right to sell it. And we're selling it for 1.5 million and there's a taker for 1.5 million. Density is what works. Density is what people build in cities anyway. If you start on a 1.5 million piece of dirt and you try to build single family homes, those are gonna be $2 million homes. A house on North Main just sold for almost $1 million. I mean, it's unfortunate, but you know, there's things we can do. But when you talk to developers, they're gonna do, as Anthony said, they're gonna cut costs. They're gonna use the cheapest materials if you force them, or they're gonna ask for more density than what we allow, or they're gonna ask for less parking than what we allow, or they're gonna ask for, you know, to take the fees off. I mean, it's a give and take system.
Okay, thank you, Madeline.
Yeah, I would like to add that I think that part of the issue with this problem is the supply and demand issue, and we don't necessarily solve it by saying that we're completely shutting down our people can't build anything. But I do see that we have a really big problem with build to rent and corporate landlords coming in, and even when we do build options that are supposed to be ownership options, then we see corporate landlords coming in and buying them all up, so it defeats the purpose. And that's really what I want to try to protect against. We do have a lot of low, mid-income, affordable housing in Kennesaw, but we have to protect it because those options, they can go away, and people do get pushed out of their neighborhoods sometimes, and it is something that we have to protect ourselves against and protect the people who are vulnerable the most, and really provide more diversity, more housing options for people, and focus on community-driven development rather than corporate developer-driven projects.
Thank you, Madeline. John, we'll finish with you.
We had a city council meeting where one of the developers, lawyers came in and spoke about a project that they wanted to build. His speech was about having luxury appliances inside their luxury apartment. His speech was about keeping the Kennesaw students away from his apartment, from these apartments, and how he was gonna do that, how the complex was gonna do that was going to raise the price to an outrageous price where the students could not afford it, and make the apartment so small that 2 or 3 people could not live in it. 600 square feet home for $2,000 a month. The developers that we are allowing to come in the city is pretty much chasing away the lower class and the lower middle class away from the city. Okay, that is what's happening here. So, because when you discriminate against one group that you think can afford it, you're also discriminating against a lower class group or a lower middle class group. People like me, I could afford to live there. Tracy could afford to live there. Madeline could afford to live there. Anthony could afford to live there. Can you afford to live there? Yes, Anthony could afford to live in these type of places, but most people cannot. Most people cannot. We need to stop where we're at right now. We have lots of projects that are happening right now in the city. Lots of apartments, a lot of high-density apartments, luxury apartments that are being built in this city right now that nobody can afford, that lives in the city. Okay, we're bringing new people into the city there, but what's gonna happen is the fact that, let me put it this way, every one of the new apartments that you have here, it's more expensive than my mortgage. Every one of them is more expensive than my mortgage.
Built at 2023 prices though.
They're built at 23 prices though, but they're still more expensive than my mortgage. I think we need to stop everything that's being built now, we need to stop, slow down, and let's see what happens. Because what's gonna happen is what happened to Marietta 20 years ago when they started building luxury apartments. We're having a Franklin Road incident, where the city had to come back and buy up all those apartments and take them out. Okay, so.
Thank you. So, we're gonna have our closing remarks. You each get 1 minute to share with our constituents here. We'll start with you, Jim.
Putting Kennesaw first. That's what we need to do here, okay? We keep bringing developers in. We keep building large luxury apartments. We're not putting the city first. We're not putting the citizens first in the city there. I've been living here for over 2 decades, and I've seen the city change. We used to be a small community, and I have nothing against growth or change, okay? We're gonna change. It's gonna happen. The fact that we have that large university right up the street here is one of the reasons why that's gonna happen. I have nothing against change at all there. But I do believe in faith, family, and friends, and the city of Kennesaw. I think that we need to put city councilmen we need to elect city councilmen that have moral and integrity. We can't go through another embarrassment in our city where one of our city councilmen or a city official gets in trouble or get arrested for something that embarrasses the city. That's more embarrassing.
You said you weren't going to allow them to undermine any
Personal attack.
personal attack.
It's not a personal attack.
It absolutely is a personal attack on
Okay.
someone.
Well, let's keep going, because you only have about 10 seconds. So.
2 seconds.
My name's John Baldwin. I'm running for city council, post 1 in the city. Thank you very, very much. You can contact me at johnforkennesaw@gmail.com.
Thank you. Madam?
I just want to say thank you guys for being here today and coming to listen to all of us speak. I hope that I've earned your vote. I hope that I've earned your consideration, and I really hope that we elect leaders who really want what's best for the community and will work really hard, speak out when they see things that they disagree with, listen and engage, and I really try to do that. I try to do that honestly with everyone. So I've lived here my whole life. I can actually walk to every school and every home that I've ever attended or lived in. And this community is where my memories are, where my family is, where my friends are, and I really care really deeply about the future of our community. And I hope that if you like what I've said, if you like what John said, if you like your candidates, go vote for them and encourage your friends and neighbors and everyone you know, so that we can really come together to vote in our elected officials.
Thank you very much, Tracy.
Hopefully y'all can agree, I'm easily the most accessible council person that there is in downtown or around there. You've heard enough from me. I've said my piece. I want to thank Monica for organizing this event. This is great, bringing us all together. Thank you, Rod, for being moderator extraordinaire. And then thank these people for sticking their neck out, because it's a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money. So I appreciate everybody caring enough, and thank you guys.
Thank you, Tracy. Anthony, you get the last word?
Using my minute, I'm not going to just repeat what I've already said throughout this evening. I'm going to give you a real-world example of the gentrification destroying our city. In September of 2022, Castle Lake Mobile Home Park, 60 households, 60 families were told they had 3 months to vacate. They had 3 months to sell their homes, 3 months to pack their belongings, find out how their children are going to get to school, completely rework their finances, and all they were told were, good luck, here's a couple $1,000s. When you give corporate landlords an inch, they'll take an entire neighborhood, and I'm the only one with the courage to stand up against them. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Let's once again give these fine candidates. And I'm going to say give yourselves a round of applause also. Thank you, Monica. I'm going to turn it over to you, but thank you for inviting me to share this wonderful experience. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Well, as I said, Cobb County Democracy Center, we are a brand new entity, but I think I would like for us to just really be community. Let's partake in some food, comes from the heart, and just really have an opportunity to connect with one another. I've been listening because I ear hustle a lot, so I understand that there are some concerns, but there is nothing that we can't do if we stick together. And like I said, we all have. So thank you all for running, because I know it's not easy, and it's not easy. It's a very tough job, and I thank y'all for the voters for being part of that 8% to make things happen. So have a great day, and y'all please, we have all this food over here.
And make sure to ask these candidates some more questions also.
That's right.